what difference does it make whether you're reading something or an opinion on social media versus reading it in a book?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You're subverting your own critical thinking.
Uh-huh. It's an interesting argument.
We give it more credibility under the context and circumstance that we assume that an author is smarter. Why? Just because they could expand on their point, or because it sold? Oh, because it sold? Oh, so more people agree with it.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing as a video getting a lot of views and likes. That gives it credibility, right?
Yeah.
Well, does it? You see a lot of bullshit on social media with a lot of likes. That doesn't give it credibility.
Yeah.
So what's the difference with being on the New York Times top selling list, especially when, if you really look into it, people don't want you to know this, but if you really look into the New York Times list, there is interest there, and it's based off of how many books are sold. Whoa, people don't know that some authors buy their own books in a big bunch just so they're on that list so they can then sell more. People don't know that, but it's true. If you really look into it, listen to authors talk about it. A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
You're buying your own credibility. It's like buying your own blue check mark on Instagram now or on Twitter.
Yeah.
You're paying a subscription to be doing that. And I don't know if you saw this. Let's actually look it up. Let's fact check how much Instagram made. How much did Instagram make off of blue check marks?
Do you have to pay for a blue check?
Dude, the subscription is $15 now a month.
No.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't see how many people have blue check marks now? That's why.
I did not know.
Yeah.
Really? So okay, I thought that you used to apply for it and they would grant it to you.
A month ago it changed.
A month? Oh, okay.
Like a month ago this time, and we're April 14th right now.
Wow.
All right, let's see if our Wi-Fi is going to help us. Jeez. Come on. Yeah, so the way it works now, I think you have to pay $14.99 a month to be able to get it. I've heard from some people that have gotten it recently. I won't name names, but athletes at Cal that, due to their respect, have a decent amount of following, say that they did get it on their own and they don't have to pay.
Yeah.
And you see famous people that already had the blue check mark, and they say, like, if they want to take it away, that's fine, but I'm not going to pay. And then you see other people with 500 followers. With a blue check mark. I'm not going to say names, but that's where it stems from, and that's where it comes from. And it's
interesting.
It's something that happened with Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter started that. Oh, there we go. It's been reported that Instagram sold 44 million blue verification checks in one day at $15 a month, making them a whopping $660 million in just 24 hours.
Wow.
People want to buy their own credibility. That's how bad people want to be something they're not.
It's interesting.
And we believe it just because they're willing to pay for it, in the same way that authors are willing to buy their own books just to hit a New York Times bestseller list. So, question is, American Express, social media subverts critical thinking. Why? It's the same thing as reading a book, isn't it? Just so you know, I don't agree with what I just said. I'm just bringing it up for conversation.
Exactly. I'm trying to think about it. It's a really interesting. I think it's a pretty valid counter argument, but again, you put it in different context. Is there a difference between, what my friend's aunt says and a PhD from Harvard says about the same topic? One of the points that I loved was, during the pandemic, you heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, I've done my own research on this," and I'm thinking, do you have like a PhD in virology, or what kind of research are we talking about?
Are we talking about the type of research that you did on Google, or are we talking about the type of research that you've been studying your ass off 24/7, quite literally in the pandemic, to get the job done?
Yeah.
And with what education previous to that?
And that's just one example. But, I think it's an interesting point. I think the context is very valid to say, what do we mean here? What's the difference between a tweet and a quote from a a book written by Mark Twain? I don't know.
Especially at that time. No Google, no nothing to be educated on. Now, some of these people, it's not that they're more educated than Mark Twain, but they have more access to information than he did at the time.
It's true.
So what's the difference?
It's very interesting.
I think, to counter my own argument, that the difference is that if we look at books that are very old, we keep reading them. The reason we read old books in school is because they've survived the passage of time. What does that mean? That if it's worked for the past 2,000 years, it's going to keep on working, rather than a book that was released this year that's very popular at this time for whatever reason it may be. Maybe it's just popular because the author bought his own books and is selling them in his bookstore. You don't know. With that being said, let's take a look at... Oh my God, you were talking about the losing your train of thought. I was going to bring something... Oh, Good Will Hunting.
Yes.
Let's look at Good Will Hunting. He doesn't have a single degree. Why should we listen to him? Oh, actually, he's very smart and he's proving his point without any degree. Oh, okay. So you don't need a degree in that credibility. So are we going to listen to whatever somebody's saying on a TikTok that got 0 views to a TikTok that got 25.2 million views? Are we going to listen to an essay written by a college student or a master's degree or a PhD student that was read by nobody versus a New York Times best-selling book that's at #1 for 5 consecutive weeks? Or are we going to be more interested in a shirt from Gap that didn't cost much money, but it's a cool, comfortable shirt, versus a kid that bought the shirt from Louis Vuitton and it has a little LV design on it and a logo on it that makes it be worth $1,500? Where's the credibility? Is it just because of the degree, because of the price tag, because of the views, because of the best-selling list? Is that what makes something credible? Because if it makes it credible, then a blue check mark next to your name after paying $14.99 a month is the exact same thing. You're buying your own credibility when you should be earning it. Is social media...
Yeah, so then how do you earn... How else do you earn... You know, how do you earn the respect of... You know, how do you have a respectable opinion? You know, you would sit there and think, you know, somebody might, you know... You might be in a debate with somebody, and maybe, you know, you're talking about some advanced topic, and you might have an opinion, and somebody might say, well, who are you to say that? I studied this at this university. Like, what? How do you quote earn credibility?
And if being so passionate and educated is lonely, and credibility is earned by popularity in the masses, is credibility now going to the uneducated that are the least amount of people? Just because it's popular? It's a good question to ask. Like, many people think that just because a lot of people believe in something, it means it's right. When in reality, no, you have to prove it. How do you prove it? You have to get others to agree to it. It's an entire shit show of a cycle, what we're talking about right now with credibility, but
yeah,
when you really think about it,